South Side wasn't just fighting a street war, it was broadcasting it. Twitter and Facebook became battlegrounds where young men posted threats, taunts, and promises of revenge in real time. What made it chilling wasn't just the words, but how often those words turned into reality. A tweet at 6 o'clock could be followed by a murder at 7, but Facebook status typed in anger could double as the last thing someone ever wrote. The world of drill wasn't just about music. It was about scoreboards written in blood and timelines that read like prophecy. Tweets like, "I can't die by that trigger," or "Y'all don't know the half of what's finna transpire," weren't random. They were time
Y'all know about that tweet. Y'all know about that tweet.
stamps, markers in a war between black disciples and gangster disciples that turned social media into a graveyard of last words. This is the story of Chicago's digital battleground, when Twitter was at its peak and every post could seal your fate. A world where murder and music collided, where the internet wasn't just for flexing. It was a warning, a taunt, and sometimes a prophecy that came true within hours. On November 7th, 2012, two teenagers sat behind keyboards writing lines that would outlive them both. FBG Wooski fired first. "Low, low, you gon' fall as well." King Von, already sharpening his legend, shot back, "Not before you do." The last words in that thread, "We gon' see." What looked like trash talk became prophecy. 6 years later, at the funeral of slain rapper Dooski Tha Man, mourners poured out of a Southside church when a storm of bullets ripped through the crowd. Dozens scattered, 6 people hit, and Wooski dropped to the pavement with a head wound that nearly ended his life. He survived, scarred, his name now etched in drill folklore as the man who lived through one of Chicago's most brazen daylight churchyard shootings. Police call it a gang war spillover. Black disciples versus gangster disciples. The cycle of blood spinning faster. April 11th, 2014, a teenager logs onto Twitter and types a message that to most people looks like nonsense, just a number and a set of letters, but in Chicago, it was a flag in the ground. 6347 was a block on St. Lawrence Avenue, a hangout tied to the Trap Money Boys, a crew under the Gangster Disciples. And the one sending it out, known online as Taekwon Assassin, was Gakira Barnes. To the streets, she wasn't just another 17-year-old girl. She was K.I., a name that carried fear, stories of gunplay, and whispers that she had her hand in more than 20 shootings. By then,
now, I ain't gonna lie, I don't know how much, I didn't heard that she probably did have, but, from other stories, all her ops, they saying she wasn't really like that for real, for real. I don't know if it's true how, if they were just really downplaying her or she really was, but I don't think she was either though, but you never know though.
Social media had become a battlefield.
Her name was ringing bells.
Every post was a threat, a taunt, or a promise. That message, sent a little afternoon, read like a declaration of loyalty to her block, her people, her war. Hours later, the streets answered back. Around 3:30 in the afternoon, on the 6,000 block of South Eberhard, shots rang out. Ki was hit 9 times in the chest, the jaw, the neck. She never made it out of the hospital alive. Police records later noted that witnesses pointed to Davon Bennett, better known as King Von, as a possible shooter. The state never brought charges, saying the case lacked enough evidence to stand trial. But on the streets, the rumor became fact, passed around in drill lyrics, interviews, and whispers. That afternoon was remembered as one of the most pivotal moments in the war between the black disciples and the gangster disciples. A war that had been burning since Tuka's killing 3 years earlier. K.I.'s death sent shockwaves through her set. For many, she had been their most feared soldier, a girl who played the game harder than men twice her age. For her rivals, her death was celebrated, a score on the board that boosted Old Block's reputation. And for the wider city, it was another reminder that the line between the internet and the street had dissolved completely. That one tweet sent on April 11th.
I ain't gonna lie, this is another statement, bro. Like, as far as all that they saying, all the female drill assassins, I ain't gonna lie, don't get me wrong, this is what I'm about to say. Like, we know, the dudes and niggas being the shooters, killers and all that. But I ain't gonna lie, it is kind of like you would probably be more fearful of a girl being a killer than anything. I'm not saying everybody is, but you would think okay, damn, this girl, damn, she's a sweet innocent girl the whole time, she a killer. So you would think it's easy for her to get up on you because she a girl. Mine and she dressed like a dude, so nobody really, everybody knew who she was. But Just imagine them pretty girls that be walking around, dressing like girls, but they actually killers. Now that's crazy to me. That's scary to me. I ain't gonna lie.
Now reads like a timestamp, a line in the sand just hours before the end. 3 numbers and 3 letters that still echo in drill lore. For some it was a flex, for others it was a warning, but for Gakir Barnes it became her final signature, left behind on the platform where every post carried weight and every word could turn into smoke. September 4th, 2012, at 6:13 in the evening, a tweet went live. I'm on 069. I'm out here. It was sent from the account of a young man calling himself oh so arrogant JoJo. To the wider world, it looked like teenage bravado, but to Chicago's South Side, it was something far louder. 069 was Brick Squad territory, a set tied into the Black Disciples locked in a bloody feud with the Gangster Disciples. Riding those numbers was like raising a flag in the middle of a war zone. JoJo wasn't just any kid. His name was Joseph Coleman, an 18-year-old rapper whose diss track 300K had called out Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and their crews by name. In the summer of 2012, he had turned himself into the face of defiance against the most famous drill stars in the city. On Twitter and in the streets, he taunted his rivals relentlessly. That evening, when he pressed send on that location, it wasn't just a statement of pride, it was a dare. An hour later, the dare was answered. JoJo was riding a bike down South Princeton Avenue when a car pulled up and gunfire erupted.
I didn't know they had the actual footage. I ain't never seen this before.
A targeted hit in broad daylight. By the time first responders arrived, JoJo was gone. Just 18 years old, silence on the same day he had broadcast his last words. Speculation immediately spread. Some pointed to members of O Block, others to affiliates of 069 itself, saying the beef had finally caught up with him. Nothing was ever proven in court, but in the streets, the narrative stuck. JoJo had challenged giants and the giants had struck back. His death shook the city. For the Gangster Disciples, it was a devastating loss. For rivals, it was mock and folded into drill lyrics, becoming one of the genre's darkest calling cards. And for the world, it marked a turning point. The story of Lil JoJo showed how a tweet, a song, or a single line on the internet could become a death sentence. That post at 6:13 on September 4th now reads like foreshadowing. I'm out here was more than words. It was his last broadcast, a digital tombstone for a teenager who lived loud and died young, a message that still echoes. Proof that in the Chicago drill wars, the line between online and offline was razor thin, and every word carried weight. August 4th, 2020, Carlton Weekly logged onto Facebook and typed out what would become one of the most haunting posts in drill history. Myths got me f***ed up on my brother grave, MF gon' see dough. It was a message heavy with pain, defiance, and promise. He swore on the memory of his brother that someone was going to pay. That afternoon, in the heart of Chicago's Gold Coast, a place far removed from the blocks of 63rd, FBG Duck was ambushed in broad daylight. 2 cars pulled up, multiple shooters jumped out, and the air filled with gunfire. Duck was...
I ain't gonna lie, that was probably the biggest crash out scene ever in my life. Y'all did that broad daylight on Gulf Shore, downtown Chicago, in front of designer stores where the white people shop at. Like, I ain't never seen nothing like it in my life. Yeah, the crazy part of the day was tracked from the hood back all the way down there to the back to the hood. Like, the biggest crash out ever, man.
Hit over a dozen times. To the public, the murders were shocking, not just for who was hit, but for where. Downtown Chicago. Luxury shops, tourists, $1 million condos was turned into a war zone in seconds.
You niggas is crazy.
Federal indictments would later name members of O Block as the killers, framing the hit as part of the endless feud between the BDs and GDs. Weekly's posts from that morning spread like wildfire across social media.
I ain't know he tweeted that early that morning.
Hey, MF gon' see. Hours later, it was Duck who were gone. In drill lore, the post is remembered as one of the clearest examples of prophecy colliding with reality, a warning that doubled back on its own author. But those who watched Chicago's war unfold online, it was another reminder. In this world, what you type could follow you into the streets, and sometimes your last words were written long before your story was finished. April 3rd, 2014, James T. Roy Johnson logs onto Twitter. It's 5 o'clock in the evening when he sends out a message that will echo for years. I can't die by that trigger, so I gotta stay behind that trigger. At King Von Frame, he behind that too. It was part flex, part prophecy. To his rivals, it was a warning. To his allies, it was proof that Vaughn and T-Roy were locked together, side by side, feared names out of O-Block. And to the world of drill, it was another moment where the internet blurred with the streets. For the next 3 years, T-Roy lived exactly how he tweeted, always behind the trigger, always on offense. His name grew heavier with every loss Stale and Taekwondo World suffered. He was loyal to Vaughn, loyal to O-Block, and loyal to the life. By 2017, he was 23, still standing, still one of the most respected soldiers in Parkway Gardens. But on February 14th, Valentine's Day of that year, the prophecy cracked. That morning, around 11:55, T-Roy was inside a store in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood. The word is, he was out hunting for rivals when the tables turned. Gunfire tore through the store, striking him in the chest. The man who had once vowed he couldn't die by the trigger was pronounced dead that same day. Hours later, the internet lit up again. Booker from 600, a close O-Block affiliate, tweeted at 11:25 that night, "Y'all don't know the half of what's finna transpire." It read like a promise, a vow that T-Roy's death would not go unanswered.
My thing is, like, how did T-Roy let him get up on him like that, dude? Like, I don't know if he was surprised, shook, or anything, because I ain't never really seen the full footage of it, you know, and that was just my actual first time seeing it, like the full, like them walking up on him. But like, was he just not like prepared? Cause like, damn, that, like I heard they like legit they walked up on him, like me seeing it, and it's crazy though. And I'm just like, damn, how you let him get up on him like that?
That tweet became infamous in drill history, a signal that one of the bloodiest waves of retaliation Chicago had ever seen was about to unfold. And it did.
I'm trying to tell you.
In the weeks and months after, O-Block and their allies unleashed what many call the Purge. Rival sets tied to Taekwondo World, STL, and EBT felt the weight of Taekwondo World's loss. Poppy from STL was gunned down just weeks later in March. Terry, T.B. Berry, the man believed to have killed T-Roy, was himself shot in the head in May, allegedly by T-Roy's own brother H.K. By August, more bodies fell. FBG Brick and Kobe Mack were killed in a drive-by tied back to the same beef. Drill fans began calling it one of the deadliest periods of get back in Chicago history, with estimates of over 10 rivals killed in the year following T-Roy's murder. O-Block T-Roy's death became a rallying cry. His name was shouted in songs, painted on walls, and carried in every move his brothers made. For their enemies, it was proof that even the most feared could be touched. And for drill culture, it was a story carved in tweets and blood. The irony is brutal. In 2014, T-Roy wrote that he couldn't die by the trigger, that he'd always be the one standing behind it. 3 years later, he was gone, shot down inside a corner store. And the night he died, another tweet went out, promising a storm of revenge. Both posts aged into artifacts of drill lore, one as a boast that backfired, the other as a prophecy that came true in the streets. Together they tell the full story. A feared hitter who believed he was untouchable, a brotherhood that vowed revenge, and a city that lived out both promises in real time, one on Valentine's Day and the other in the months of blood that followed. November 27, 2017, a Facebook post goes live from an account under the name Tookerville Man. All the Opps will be dead by next summer, it read, stamped with hashtags like Get Back Gang and memorial shoutouts like LLTB and LO30. To the casual eye, it looked like just another piece of drill slang, but to anyone who understood Chicago's streets, it was a declaration of war. So when this post went up in late November, it was more than just talk. It was a timestamp planted in the middle of one of the deadliest retaliation campaigns Chicago had seen.
Ain't gonna lie, that's great, boy. Streets don't love nobody. Feel me? Rest in peace to all the victims, man. Y'all like and comment, let me know your thoughts on the video, man. Catch you on the next one.